This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello, this is Shade Anozie with the SNC podcast. Join me bi-weekly as I talk with some of Nigeria's unique music producers and songwriters about their creative process and more. Follow us at the SNC podcast on SoundCloud. Cheers.
We've all been to cons with diversity panels. Now, with your help, we will be able to go to a diverse con with inclusive panels and so much more.
Universal Fan Con will be a con for the fans, by the fans,
with a focus on diversity and inclusion. We're reaching out to fans from all levels of fandom, from the shining Halo Ringaray to the twisted mind of Jigsaw.
From the hallowed halls of Hogwarts to the inseparable Ehrlich brothers.
This con will have something for everyone. We're calling on our fellow fans, disabled fans, LGBTQ fans,
Native American, Asian American, African American, Latino American, and all the other groups that coexist within this vast universe of fandom.
We ask you to go to www.universalfancon.com. Again, that's www.universalfancon.com. And support the con we've all been waiting for. Thank you.
Hey, this is Steph Rywell. Join me bi-weekly at the Lemonade for all things nerdy and geeky, giving you all the sweet and sour notes from the nerd world, as well as my own special commentary to make this blended lemonade just right. Follow the Lemonade at Audio Boom, SoundCloud, Podbean, at the Points of Interest Network, and I'll see you guys soon.
Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Victor.
And this is Megashine. Megashine is a queer, people of color weekly podcast, and we talk about anything from drag to comics to video games to
boys
and anything else in between. So if you want to listen to us, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, and you can follow us on Megashine Pod and Megashine on Twitter.
That's right. So follow us, talk to us. We'll be here.
And we out.
We are the Lucas Bros, and we were just on Black Girl Nerd podcast, and it's fantastic. And listen to it every day, every hour, because they are awesome.
My name is Valissa Thompson, and I am the creator of the Disability 2Y hashtag and the founder of Rap Your Voice. You are now listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
This is Simone Missick, and I am Misty Knight, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hi, I'm Micheline Hess. I'm the artist and writer of Malice in Ovenland and the Island Cats of Congaree, as well as the Anansi Kids Club and the All Saints Day Adventure, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Hi everyone, this is Samira Wiley from Orange is the New Black. I've got a couple things coming up. I'm going to be in a movie called 37 that I hope everyone goes and checks out. It's important. And I'm currently working on The Handmaid's Tale, which should be coming out next year, 2017. And you're listening to Black Girl Nerds Podcast.
Yeah, this is Louis Tan from Marvel's Iron Fist. This is Black Girl Nerds. You guys are amazing. I love you guys to death. Check out the podcast. Check out the show. Let's get busy.
Hello, I'm Regina Hall, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds Podcast.
Hey, this is Gina Prince Bicewood, and you are listening to the Black Girl Nerds Podcast.
This is Riley Ritchie, a.k.a. Jacob Anderson, a.k.a. Grey Worm from Game of Thrones, and you're listening to the Black Girl Nerds Podcast.
Seven, eight. Holla boys and girls, it's the for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Yeah, better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Ha. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Thanks for tuning into episode 112 of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie and I am your host. This episode is titled, It's Oprah and Karen Pittman. 2 segments. In our first segment, this is a milestone for us. We got Oprah Winfrey! Yes! That's right. Oprah Winfrey joins us along with the rest of the cast of Henrietta Lacks. The new movie premieres on HBO April 22nd. And we talk about the film and a roundtable interview featuring several other press outlets about Henrietta Lacks and how this important story has made an impact on contemporary modern-day medicine. That segment is featuring co-host KB. In our second segment, we interview actress Karen Pittman. You may remember her as Inspector Priscilla Ridley on Marvel's Luke Cage. This is a one-on-one interview featuring yours truly and co-host Caron. We talk about, obviously, Luke Cage, and we get very personal with Karen, talking about things like motherhood and the impact of what Black Girl Nerds has had on her life and her daughter's life. So that's it. 2 segments, 2 magnificent segments, I should say, that is going to be inspiring and impactful for you in a lot of different ways. And I think that this is the one episode that's going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. So sit back, relax, take some notes, bookmark this, share it with everyone you know. If you have not done so already, please let everyone know about what the Black Girl Nerds podcast is all about. We're everywhere. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Google Play Music, and Spotify. You can go to blackgirlnerds.com and read editorials on our site each and every day. And if you do feel so inclined to support us financially, go to Patreon. It's patreon.com/blackgirlnerds. So enjoy this unforgettable episode. This episode that will resonate and be indelibly printed in the ears and minds of everyone, everywhere. BGN 112. It's Oprah and Karen Pittman. Enjoy. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks is an HBO film that premieres April 22nd. The film is directed by George C. Wolfe and starring Oprah Winfrey. It is based on the book of the same name by Rebecca Skloot and documents the story of Henrietta Lacks, who was diagnosed with cervical cancer in the 1950s. In this segment features Oprah Winfrey, George C. Wolfe, Rose Byrne, Renee Elise Goldsberry, Courtney B. Vance, Rocky Carroll, and Reg E. Cathey.
Yes, ma'am. Oh my God. Has this ever happened before? No.
I'm from Guidepost.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lillian with the Huffington Post.
Huffington Post?
Danielle from The Root.
The Root.
Yes.
KB from Black Girl Nerds. Black Girl Nerds!
I got that. I'm Cathey from Bustle and also Jamaica.
I'm Ariana from Refinery 29. Formerly Oprah Magazine.
Yes!
And I am Shamika Sanders from HelloBeautiful.com. I'm Cherise Frazier from HelloBeautiful.com.
I'm Sydney Scott from Essence.
And I'm Ramide Tinubu from Shadow and Act and Jet.
Wow.
Where is Ebony?
Jet is here?
Jet is here.
Oh, very good. All right, good. All right, who's in charge?
She was like, recording.
Okay, who's in charge of this?
You are in charge.
Yes.
All right. All right. Who's in charge, Nicole? Am I in charge?
No, you're not in charge, but these guys are. I'll asking you questions. You guys have 20 minutes.
Okay, great. 20 minutes? Girl,
Okay.
we're going to be here all day. This ain't no 20-minute group. How many of us up here? How you going to make 20 minutes? We're on that time. Okay.
So whatever you
Ms.
say.
Winfrey, so you play Deborah Lax, and there is something that she says that I think is really profound. When she's talking to Rose, she's saying that if she had been a writer, then she could write the book herself.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have those kind of skills.
Yeah.
And if the Lax family had been able to get some compensation from the Gila cells, then perhaps she could have had that future. So how much did that play into why you wanted to bring the story of Deborah Lax and Henrietta Lax to life?
Great question.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. How much of it? This is a deal. I worked in Baltimore as a young reporter from the time I was 22 to 30. I lived in the city. I went to church every Sunday, Bethel AME, 8 o'clock service because 11 o'clock was too full, and been to Hopkins many times. I am a student of the African American culture. I grew up reciting Langston Hughes and County Cullen and Margaret Walker and Sojourner Truth. I had never, in all of my readings and all of my stories, ever heard of Gila or Henrietta Lax. I could not believe that. How could I have been in this town all the time and never seen one thing to her? So when I first read the story in 2010, I wanted to tell the story because it is my nature to share everything. When I was a kid, living on this place in Mississippi on a dirt road, every time I got a candy bar, I'd wait for my cousins to come along to share it. Book club, share. If I find a good donut, a good biscuit,
A good pumpkin pie.
a good pumpkin pie, a good pizza, whatever it is, I want to share it. I just can't keep it to myself. I want everybody else to know about it. So I wanted as many people to know about the story as possible. That's how it came about. And I wanted people, and so now you do. Now you do.
And to go off of that, and this question's for you and also for you, George and Renee, if you'd like to jump in, but I really want to focus on Henrietta's blackness, her being a black woman, and her growing, being, born and raised in Jim Crow, and the fact that a black woman went on to help save the lives of millions of people, and at the time, probably people who probably would have rather died than have herself in her, right? So I wanted to talk about, what did you find most empowering about Henrietta, considering that she was a black woman and the experiences that she went through at the time?
Well, the thing which is what's interesting, there's the scenes in the movie where she's feeding her relatives and taking them in and taking care of them. So, see, that's when you speak about Jim Crow, it's important to talk about the injustice of it, but equally as important is to talk about how the community fortified itself. Because it's like, if you're not going to feed me, I'm going to make sure I feed myself and everybody else. And Henrietta was part of that dynamic of, I'm going to take care. There's an opportunity for me. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make sure as many people have this opportunity. So intrinsic, seemingly in her DNA, was this incredible sense of responsibility and caring and feeding and nurturing. And so that therefore then the cells come along and they're continuing to do the exact same thing. And one of the things that I love, really, really, really conceptually love, is that on paper, you would look at Henrietta Lax. She's marginally educated. She's a black woman, as in Jim Crow South. She has 5 children when she's 31. So on paper, you would go, oh, no power. And in death, anytime Gila cells came into contact with any other cells, they'd go, I'm in charge. So that power. So I still to this day, it is so astonishing me how powerful, the biotech industry, which in essence exploited and has turned into $1 billion industry, started with Henrietta Lax's cells. The biotech industry did not exist. It didn't exist prior to Gila. So you have this extraordinary woman who 31 was entirely too young for her to die. 99 would be entirely too young for her to die. And that power of who she was just continues and lives on.
This is so exciting. I'm going live on Facebook. I've never done this before.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you feel like you go a little bit shy.
And Courtney B. Vance.
Honorary black girl, Courtney Vance.
Honorary black girl, magic, Courtney Vance. Hello, how are you? All right, very good. All right, so let's continue with your questions.
I'll say because I love that I feel like, stepping into her body, stepping into the reality that, we see this woman who knows something's wrong with her and she doesn't live, that's scary right now. Right. As a mother, right now, the idea that something, we're always like, what was that? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea that something's wrong with me always scares me when I have little children. There's nothing more frightening, and there's this scene where she walks into Johns Hopkins Hospital in front of the largest white Jesus you could ever see. You know what I mean?
That is a big,
you know what I mean? It doesn't take a tremendous amount of, kind of acting prowess to experience how small that would make you feel. And I love the bravery with which she does that. Yeah. I love the bravery with which she moves through the biggest nightmare anyone can imagine. Yeah. And that, I think, informs me about the bravery that my grandmother must have had. Mm-hmm. And, that's what inspires me. That's what I want all of us to take from this. It's like, is to embrace the idea that these women were powerful, not victims.
Yeah, precisely.
They're powerful.
And look good doing it.
And we're talking about a world that predated web.com, or where you could self-diagnose or go on the internet and get a sense of what, when a person in a uniform or a person in a white coat said to you, that was law. It was gospel. Mm-hmm. If a doctor told you were sick, or a doctor said you needed this treatment, you accepted, because that person in the white coat was God. So that was the era that you lived in as well. So as far as the movie deals with not only the treatment of Henrietta, but of her sister and the mental institutions, but this was an era that you lived in. When somebody in a white coat told you something, it was law, it was gospel. So the fact that this was buried for so long, it's astonishing, but it makes sense to me as well, because you didn't question what a doctor said. Right. And so that was also a very important part of this storytelling.
I want to ask about the idea of having a white savior. I talked to Courtney a little bit about this morning, around the idea of, especially the parallel of now being in Black Lives Matter movement and people often wanting other voices to be a part of the movement as well, but then also protesting said voices when they jump up to be a part of it. So I just want to know, the parallel between that and having someone like you, playing Rebecca Skloot, to come in and have to tell that story and then deal with their separate pains and blockages of being able to push that forward.
She told me to be nice to the white girl. Being nice to the white girl.
Start easy, right? George Wolfe?
You say, I'm not white, I'm Australian.
That is different.
Just to let you know. But what's unique about this story, I think, is that it's from the perspective of a young, naive white girl who's very naive. She's 27 at the time when she embarks on this story. She's from Portland, Oregon. Okay, she's got no experience with the African American culture, admittedly, if you talk to Rebecca. And then from an African American woman, an older African American woman, that on this very unusual experience they have together. And the question of the white savior was something we discussed day one, and it's complicated and complex, and it's something that I really leaned on George and Oprah for, because it's not, we wouldn't. Rebecca wrote the book. She got it. It was her doggedness and determination and her obsession with it that is one of the reasons we're here. One of the reasons, but it's a complicated thing that I very much leaned on these guys to understand, to navigate delicately, and it's still complicated, you know.
And but also I think it's like nobody's waiting. I mean, there's something that happens when Rebecca. Okay, there's something that happens. There's something that happens when Rebecca meets a tornado that is Deborah Lax, and one of the
me.
and despite all the things that has happened to Deborah, she does not view herself as a victim, nor is she without power, nor is she without agency. What she doesn't have is access. Mm-hmm. And also when she says, at one point in the movie, she says, so you keep on being white.
Yeah. Yes.
So to me, it was very important to me that, it's very important that it's not imitation of life. It's like, I don't want any of that money. I just want the biggest funeral Harlem's ever seen. Yes. Have you seen that line from that movie? You just go like, oh, really? Go for the money. You can buy your own funeral, And it's like, not a good decision. So you could buy a church for that pancake recipe. You know what I mean? and so to me, I think they went on a journey together. And one of the things that I thought was very interesting is that Deborah, the whole family is, but Deborah is testing her. She says, come on, let's go hang out with Zachariah. Yes. And if you can survive that,
I'll be upstairs.
And that will be that. And
wasn't Reg Cathey great?
So she's testing her. If there's not, hi, you're white, so therefore I trust you like the white coat. Right. It's like, let me go send you to the family. Yeah. Right. Let the family torture you for a little bit to see if you can survive that. You survive that, then let me torture you for a little bit. Then let the family torture. Yeah. So it was a series of obstacles that she has to get back. And also, Deborah also has this sense of, and sometimes I have a little anxiety that might erupt. And therefore, the trust that I have for you today might not be there tomorrow. Yeah. Exactly. So to me, I think it's a much more mercurial, complicated, and hopefully on some level dangerous relationship. Okay.
Courtney Vance is speaking.
I just want to remind everyone that we have 20 minutes. and in that, I would like to just gently say, Oprah. That I love the fact that it was a white girl who brought us to this wonderful, to ourselves. We couldn't do it somehow ourselves, and it really speaks to me how much we need each other. It's instead of going, why did a white person have to do this? It's like, no, when we're children, all the children play together. They don't separate and segregate themselves. Until they learn that black people over here, the Muslim people over here, learn behavior. We just to see the movie, to see these two women come together, and was it your uncle that when you put the hand of Jesus on you?
That was my cousin.
That's what I said. Your cousin. You didn't hear me right.
That's my cousin.
Your cousin. That brought you back to that place where we're all one, and that's what we're trying to get to. Now I'm done.
Okay, we only have 20 minutes. We're going to end this, and it premieres April 26th.
It's over.
What happened?
You said one word and then it was over. That's it. You said one word and then ended as you said the first word. Your phone knew you were trying to end it.
Well, I did. Yes.
You
didn't read the book before.
We can
Oh,
okay.
You said you didn't read the book before or hadn't heard the story. What place did you have to tap into to play your character and get into that role?
Well, I don't have a lot of rage. I have a lot of anger. So it's a lot of tapping. I had to pull it up from my kneecaps. I've done a lot of healing on myself being on the Oprah show every day. It really was an effective space for me to learn a lot about myself and life and people and dysfunction. And so I've said this many times before. I would not have done this movie without George Wolfe. I've said it with him in the room and without him being in the room.
We love you, George.
We love you, George. It's the reason why Courtney Vance flew overnight on a red eye to come in and to do that role.
1 day of shooting.
1 day of shooting, turned around and went back. It's the reason why Courtney Vance is here now, because we all every actor in the world loves George Wolfe. So when Audra and I were trying to do a play together and it didn't work out, Audra McDonald, yeah, I'm just Audra said to me, you must work with George Wolfe. And she's right. Every actor wants to work with George Wolfe. She said, because George makes you better. It's like having your own personal director therapist excavating for you, helping you to go deeper, richer, make you broader, wider. Think about why you're doing that, why you're saying that, why would she move that way. And so that was the experience that I was looking for. And even in 104-degree heat, standing out in that crazy-ass car, yeah, I would say, you're doing it because of George. I'd walk in, I go, how you doing, George?
It was a dead people place.
Yes.
A place that smelled like
dead
people.
Yeah, when we did our scene that day, and walked into that room, I go, nobody breathe, because there is so much mold in here that if we so we'd walk in the door and then hold our breath and then walk out. Yeah, right. It was great.
It's glamorous.
And listen, my God, Reg had just won an Emmy, and so I'm always so intimidated. So intimidated, but we finished the scene and Reg goes, we did some acting right there. We finished that scene and Reg goes, we just acted our ass.
No, I do.
And Reg would go, it's in there, George. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there.
You can find it in there somewhere.
Let's do it again.
So I actually have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question for the both of you. So the story really hinges very heavily on the relationship between Dale and Rebecca. And these two women are on this journey for very different reasons. I mean, you want to know more about your mother, and she just wants to know more about Henrietta Lacks and her, contribution to the scientific community. So what do you think that Dale learns about herself on this journey with Rebecca, and what do you think the challenges are between the two of them?
That's a deep question.
Okay, 20 minutes. Okay, so first journey in the first place is because she really wants to know about herself. That's what everybody's. You want to know about your mother. You want to know about your mother, your grandmother. You really want to know about yourself. You're trying to find, how does that give me a bottom? How does that give me a center? So the journey for her is to discover herself, and by learning about her mother, she discovers herself. And this relationship becomes her balm, her solace, her comfort. There is a tape that the real Rebecca has that where you can hear her husband pull him in the background saying, Rebecca, she your medicine. And Deborah agrees with him. And I think that in the end, that's what gave her a sense of peace and why she was able to leave the planet, because she knew it had been done. Mm-hmm. The real work that she'd come to do, the real work that she'd need to resolve within herself had been finished and completed through that relationship with Rebecca. And it did become a friendship of sorts, as much of a friendship as she, a black woman, isolated mostly from white people, being disregarded by white people, disrespected by white people, as close as she could come to having a relationship, be a friendship with Rebecca. She had, don't you think?
I do, and I think for Rebecca, she shared some more candid stuff with me in personal context that is private, obviously, but is again the source of why she was driven to do this specific story. I mean, we touch on it in the film, is that her father was also a research subject in a hospital. And whoa, what is that? Is that your love, Henrietta?
She's in this room.
And
good for sound.
and I think
Thank God.
Their relationship is incredibly unusual, and I think it became a huge source of motivation, and they relied on one another. And the greatest tragedy for Rebecca is that Deborah's not here to be part of it, because she wanted Oprah to play her in the movie, and she said it from the start, and like to have this dream come true for this woman, that's so for her it's still a huge tragedy that she's not here to share it, because without Deborah she wouldn't have had this book done. So.
And also one of the things I think is really great is they help each other cross boundaries that they would not cross.
Absolutely.
You know, Deborah can walk into places, can walk into Crownsville, can walk into these places. Rebecca finds herself knocking on the door and then walking in, and there's this wonderful moment where Lawrence comes in, and there's this brief moment where you suddenly alter your body, you know, and it's people navigating and negotiating differences. And I think they learn how to do it with each other, and they do it, and then they cross and invade each other's worlds, which is it's a lovely, good thing to do.
George, I had a question for you. I'm wondering, the family has been through a lot already. How did you guys walk that fine line of being respectful to the family, but also making it dramatic enough for HBO?
Well, the family is drama. It's like, this woman walks into a place called Johns Hopkins Hospital, and she doesn't come out alive. The hospital didn't kill her, the cancer killed her, but already that's the dynamic. Then somebody knocks on their door, doesn't bother to explain why they are there, and then in an offhand comment, somebody turns to you and says, your mother's been in outer space and in nuclear bombs.
For which she can't even comprehend.
And intrinsic is that, which means, and her mother died in 51, and it's now the 70s. That's 20 years of no information. And one of the things that I think is also really interesting about, because it's like, Henrietta Lacks died of cervical cancer, which means it happened down there, the period, women, you know what I mean? There's how Dave wasn't going to have the conversation. He wasn't going to have the equipment to have that conversation about the privates. You know what I mean? There's all of this stuff. It's just secrets and
female problems.
Female problems.
Female problems. It's just been called female problems.
Yeah,
she had female problems.
Yeah,
and that was it.
And so nobody's going to. So just the fact that withholding information from someone is a sin. With personal information about them, I think is an incredible sin. We all have a right to know. We all have a right to know, and I think to know as much as we need to know. And the fact that Johns Hopkins kept information from the family is a sin. The fact that the people within the family kept information away from her is a sin.
But all families still do it.
All families do it. Oh my God!
I used to think just black people did it, and Australian people.
How do the Australians deal with secrets?
But all my years on the Oprah show, I was always so surprised that white people are just as equally dysfunctional, and up until I started doing the show, I used to think, they live like, people do on television, but it's true that most of the damage in families comes because of all the secrets that are being held. And everybody has them. It's in everybody's family. Yeah.
I do think there was one moment when we showed the family the picture, and I've been talking about, you talked about Zachary and Sonny, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm going, I'm sitting right behind Zachariah, who's watching an actor play Zachariah. and then I got really freaked out. Then I was kind of, oh wow, it was a naked moment, but
I was always marveling at Reg in his ability to modulate the craziness of Zachariah, because and one of the things that moved me so much in the film is that moment where Deborah hands him the pictures, and he just sort of taps her just a little bit. So your ability to modulate the craziness and also bring out the tenderness too. Was just
Yeah.
So what was your? I just can I ask that question?
Thank you.
What was your process in like creating this guy?
At first I thought it's really difficult to play people who have. I don't like to say crazy. People who are have
Crazy.
difficult.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. Come on now, Reggie. You crazy.
I know I'm crazy, but that's a whole different story. But I wanted to make it as real as possible and as organic, and so it's difficult to explain what you do without sounding completely stupid.
Yeah.
So the main thing.
We love this laugh. Hold that thought, because I just said the very first day I'm in the makeup trailer, and I'm like, okay, trying to like get in the mood, and I hear this. She's just like, who the hell just entered the room? Anyway, go ahead.
My grandfather used to scare me. He called me boy until he died. At any rate, I tried to find stuff that was going to be organic and stuff that was going to be, without giving too much away. I had a relative who had some difficulties, and so I based it on him and some of the kind of physical things he would do. And then George was...
He's crazy. He's definitely crazy.
George would say, okay, I need more, I need less, or, ooh, never do that again. You know what you just did there? Never, ever again. And since we've known each other for 30 years, it was easy.
Yeah.
It was so easy.
The pitchfork up his ass day was a tough day, right?
But it's when you enjoy a pitchfork.
That was a tough day. It was raining. We had to stop. You'd be in the middle of the scene, then it
And I would
rains.
say, where's my pitchfork?
Where's the pitchfork?
And George would say, not yet.
We're good, guys.
No, we got
We really loved you guys. This was, thank you.
Literally the best press.
This is the best. We can all get it. Can we have a class photo? Get a class photo? Absolutely.
Karen Pittman is a stage, film, and TV actress. Born in Mississippi and raised in Nashville, Pittman received a Bachelor of Science in Voice and Opera at Northwestern University and an MFA from NYU's Graduate Acting Program. Pittman has portrayed the character of Jory in the 2012 Lincoln Center production of Disgraced and has performed in FX Network's The Americans, and you know her best as Inspector Priscilla Ridley on Marvel's Luke Cage. Welcome to this special segment of the Black Girl Nerds podcast. My name is Jamie. I'm your host. Very excited because, listen, if you are a fan of Marvel's Luke Cage, you already know who this guest is because this show has, it's resonated with so many of us. We live tweet it. We've watched it at home. We're talking about it. And we've read many of the comics. But this particular character, the character of Inspector Priscilla Ridley, we're going to talk to actress Karen Pittman, and she's known for more than just Luke Cage. She is an actress, and she's a star of various films, television shows, and the stage. So, Karen, thank you so much for coming on the Black Girl Nerds podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is a real treat for me. I've been following you guys since the show premiered last year on September 30th, Marvel's Luke Cage. And I have just been hoping that somebody would ask me to talk on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
Finally, someone emailed me, Jamie. So I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to finally talk to you guys, and your perspective really matters. I mean,
a lot of people pay attention to what you guys say about these great comics and what you think about them. And at a time where diversity and inclusion really matters, your voice is important. So I thank you for what you guys do.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to us. And also very happy to have Caron as our co-host tonight. Thank you, Caron, for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Black girl magic.
Yes. So, Karen, tell us, because I'm always curious to know how actors get accepted on different projects. Can you kind of walk us through how you got the role of Inspector Priscilla Ridley on Marvel's Luke Cage? And did you read any of the comics?
I had not read any of the comics. And when I went into the casting director's office, her name is Julie Schubert. At the time, the show was called Tiara. And because I hadn't read any of the comics, I did not know what that referred to or what it could possibly refer to. I was familiar with Daredevil, and I had seen Jessica Jones, but I did not know that Tiara was Luke Cage. I just knew that I'd spent a lot of time in Julie's office auditioning for lots of different parts on Luke Cage, including the part of Mariah.
Wow.
They, of course, went with Alfre Woodard, and who wouldn't? Because when I read that, I was like, well, I would have gone with Alfre Woodard. I wouldn't have gone with me. I would have gone with Alfre Woodard, too, if it was up to me. But so I went in like every actor does when they're auditioning for a part. I went in with what I had, what my thoughts were about the character, and what my thoughts were about the tone of the piece, which I had sort of derived from watching Jessica Jones, because the tone is very specific on Netflix, on the Marvel Netflix shows. They're very serious. They're very solemn. Every frame looks like if you stopped it, it could be a comic book frame, right? It could be one of those rectangles or squares that you see. Every single frame is just so rich in color and in storytelling. And so I didn't really know any of the actors working on it except for Mahershala Ali, who went to the same grad school that I went to, NYU.
Oh, wow. I love him.
Yeah, he's great.
Yes,
he's great.
Is. Yes.
And of course, I knew who Alfre was. So I got introduced to it. And of course, Marvel is very quiet about how, very hush-hush about their episodes. So I didn't know any. I got a little snippet of the scene that I was to do, but I did not get the side to print out. The side is the actual excerpt from the scene. I didn't get that to print out. I had to write it down on a piece of paper and then, learn it from a piece of paper. You can't download or keep any of the scripts on your hard drive. It immediately destructs. Do you know what I mean?
Wow. Marvel's not.
It's very
playing.
intense. No, they don't. They really don't. They want to keep that stuff very close to the chest, and it was important. And it just fires your imagination too, because really there are only a few people, maybe 3 dozen people, maybe, that know that it's shooting, that know what the world is like, and it just makes you all a very, very tight community. But it also really fires your imagination, your desire to invest in what the other people are doing on it. It just makes it a really, it's just a fun set when you go on it, because so few people know about it.
That's so interesting that the alias for the show was called Tiara.
What? I don't get the connection.
Yeah,
I don't either.
Maybe it was random.
The tiara.
Mm-hmm.
I think that refers to the thing that was placed on Luke's head when he was at the doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. Back in the
got it.
In the lab.
His
or whatever.
old school
yes, in the
uniform.
lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was the code name for the show, Tiara. That's correct.
That was good.
Yeah. No one was looking for that.
I love that.
I think that was the only code name that actually had a reference to the comic itself. Yeah.
But there are code names for when Daredevil is shooting, code names for when Jessica Jones is shooting, and code names for Iron Fist as well. So.
So Luke Cage did something pretty remarkable in that it centered all of its black female characters, which is sadly it's a rare thing to see these days. So what was it about this role for you that was unique compared to the other roles you've done in the past?
Well, I couldn't know the unique quality of the character until I met the actors I was working with, right?
Yeah.
Because Inspector Ridley was cut from new cloth. She is not, you're not going to open up a Luke Cage comic and find this character in there.
Right.
So in the reflection of this character is very clear in all the people are, all the characters around her. So very much in Simone Missick, we had a great chemistry on set.
Love her.
Yeah, I consider her to be a very good friend. Alfre Woodard was just so supportive. It was also a very heated political moment while we were shooting it. We were shooting this in early 2015. Yeah, 2015, 16. When did that come out? 2016 was when we were shooting this, early 2016. So it was kind of one of those very heated political times, and we all had discussions about it in the makeup room. Do you know? Rosario had a lot of strong opinions about it, as you well know. She's very involved politically involved.
Yeah.
So we were all very strong women on set, and so when we brought these characters forward, it was very easy to tap into their strengths. I also think that that's a function of the writers. Cheo didn't want to have any wallflowers. I don't think he knows any black women who happen to be, not strong. One of the things that I thought was important to add, though, are the nuances between what Priscilla wants and the nuances between what Simone wants. Genuinely, they are both after the same thing, which is the truth, right? Misty Knight says in the show, I stalk it, right? I would say Inspector Ridley does not stalk anything. She's not stalking anything. But I would say that she goes after it in her own way, what the bottom line is. And I wanted to make sure that was shown. It was nuanced. And I think that people did get that although they work in the same precinct, they're both police officers. They both are seeking to help and protect and serve their community. They're going about it in very different ways. One of the traps that I found that we were able to step aside from episode to episode was the trap of being petty and catty, having that kind of relationship show up on screen. And there is room in the script for that choice to be made, But I think between the two of us as actors and the director, we really decided that we weren't going to break the spine of that relationship and make it into something that was not actually constructive, useful to the storytelling. And I think a kind of a petty back and forth between Inspector Ridley and Misty Knight would not have been useful. So I really think that what you see on screen for Priscilla Ridley is a function of what the writers came up with during the season, what they felt like they needed, and what we created on set. Because again, Marvel doesn't have a Priscilla Ridley in its comic books. So yeah, I think that's where we landed with her.
Well, they do now, and you certainly have made your mark. And I have to tell you, Karen, the diva in me recognizes the diva in you, and I was just as pleased as punch when I discovered you and I have something in common, and that's opera.
Oh, yeah.
Do you still perform, and will we hear music from you in the near future?
It's so funny you should say that to me. I actually performed this past weekend on Easter Vigil on Saturday night. I did something from the Messiah, an aria called "I Know That My Redeemer Liveth," and And it's very, yes, I know, right? I know that my Redeemer liveth. And, I was trying to be real. It was hard for me not to riff on that right there. Do you know what I mean? Because I know it. Do you know? I'm very much
when you know that you know.
When you know, right? So yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm also part Buddhist in that way. But that was the last time I did a little opera. Then a lot of people don't know that I can sing. That I started out as a voice and opera major at Northwestern, and I finished there and got my degree because I haven't been in any musicals on Broadway or any of that. So, well, I did do one musical, but I was a cover for an actress who had the role. Mm-hmm. So I can't wait to do more singing. I really can.
I miss it so much.
I really cannot.
I know. So much.
I will say you got to work that muscle back up, though.
That is the truth, girl. Mm.
You can't just pop back up into an aria. It took me a couple of weeks to get that going again. But yeah, that's so great. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. I do sing. I want to sing more.
I'm going to be following you because I'm going to be watching and listening. I'm going to hold you to your word.
I don't have any singing things coming up, unfortunately, but hopefully
you have Instagram.
I do. What I mean is I don't have any singing roles coming. Oh, I have Instagram. You mean I can put some on Instagram real quick? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll have to think about that.
I'm pushy. Did they tell you?
I love it.
Okay. So
I need to.
If you were to put yourself in Priscilla Ridley's shoes and you were offering advice to other women of color in law or in leadership, what would be your best advice about towing the line between supporting your own and covering your ass when it comes to issues like privacy or misogyny?
Wow. Supporting your own or covering your ass. Well, I certainly can apply that to my industry. Mm-hmm. Misogyny is rampant. Of course, I think it's rampant in most places. What we've discovered is that it's rampant in every aspect of our society right now. I feel like it really does come down to a question of money, where you are, in the what do you call the thing on the totem pole? Mm-hmm. What do you call that?
Like the spectrum, or
the further down you are on the pole of hierarchy, the harder you have to, the closer you have to watch your butt. You know, right? But the higher you get up, the less you can do so because you have more power. I think really the important part is just to pull as many women up as you can, right? The question of whether or not you protect your butt or whether or not you let some things go, I think can only be helped if you have a community around you, right? Because no one does it alone. No one gets to move up higher on their own, right?
That's the truth.
So I think it's very important for all of us to really start supporting each other, not to fall into competition or cattiness. That's not useful. That's not helpful. Exactly. I think it's important for us to support each other in our community of women. I think that's important, especially between Black women and white women, but, brown women and white women, Asian women and Black women. The struggles that Asian actresses have in my part of the industry are the struggles that I have. I don't see any difference between, what Lucy Liu or Taraji Henson or any other actress of color has to deal with. So as long as we form a tight community around each other, I think that is the answer to social and economic power. I think women have a lot of soft power right now. We have the knowledge and we're smart and we are capable of making great decisions. We add a lot of intelligence and color to discussion when we are involved, but we don't have the hard power, which is the money, the status. We need a lot more of that. So, and that requires us to pull other people up. So no matter what industry we are in, I think the important thing is to bond with each other and to create a strong community.
I think that is so on point, because I just think about, the whole crabs in a barrel mentality. It doesn't do anything for anybody. And when we create opportunities for ourselves and for others, it just allows us to be able to grow and expand and be able to do more work. Like I think about Ava DuVernay and the work that she's doing with Queen Sugar. That's a beautiful thing to see so many Black women getting these opportunities to direct these projects. And I had many months ago interviewed Victoria Mahoney, and we were talking about the struggle. Like, the struggle is real, and now because she got that opportunity by Ava to direct an episode on Queen Sugar, now she's being afforded more opportunities with working with Shonda Rhimes on Scandal and other projects. And I just think that that's a beautiful thing.
And Shonda opened that door for Ava.
And Shonda did the same thing. So like when we give each other a space to grow and to have those opportunities, it helps things. It doesn't hinder you. It's not an infringement upon your space. I just never understood that mentality with the whole competition thing.
Well, it's as actresses, it's rampant. There really are very few opportunities for us as African American actresses, for no matter what color you are, or race, or what have you. There aren't very many opportunities for you, and even fewer if you are an African American actress. And if you can imagine, even fewer if you are an Asian American actress.
Yeah, because all of their roles get whitewashed.
Or our roles. I mean, we talked about in this last pilot season where there were roles that should have gone to Latino or African Americans that actually went to white people. There are lots of shows like that people actually don't hear about where that matters. So I think especially with actresses, we are the lowest people on the totem pole. So sharing information, gender equality is a real thing with us. To bond up together and demonstrate that we're going to take care of each other means sharing information, and that's a lot of it. Like, I'm not going to tell her how much I make. I'm not going to tell her what I'm doing over here. I'm not going to tell them what's going on over there. To protect ourselves, and that actually doesn't help. That doesn't help us as a group. I'm sure it doesn't help in any industry, right? It doesn't matter if you're an attorney. It doesn't matter if you're working in law enforcement. The idea of sisterhood, which of course we talk a little bit about on Luke Cage, in humor, in jest, it really does matter. It really does. I mean, and African American women are on the forefront of that. I mean, there is a reason why there was a woman who scaled a flagpole to get down. Do you remember this woman? What's her name? I forget.
Bree Newsome.
That's right. Yeah. She took the flag down. There wasn't some white woman going up and get it. Black women do that all the time. There's a reason why there's a Sojourner Truth, a Harriet Tubman, a Michelle Obama, a Bree Newsome, a Rosa Parks. We usually are on the forefront of making change in our society, and I think that's what it's going to be as far as economic disparity, hard power, soft power. I really do believe we're going to be the people who lead the change. So,
and even when we unknowingly, because I just recently watched the Henrietta Lacks movie that Oprah Winfrey is starring.
Sure.
Even in those moments, we're still creating magic in this world with her cells. Absolutely,
and that's a tragedy. Right? In some ways. And in some ways, for that family, it was a terrible tragedy that just keeps playing itself out because they haven't really been paid from that, right?
Right.
They have no economic power from them having used their mothers, their sisters, their grandmothers' cells for decades.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's much to. That's a big question. That's a loaded question, but it's an important thing to talk about and to get out there. Yeah.
So Alfre Woodard, so far as I know, I could be mistaken. Feel free, guys, on Twitter, because you like to actually me. But so far, Alfre Woodard, I believe, is the only Black woman who is playing a fictional character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who's done 2 different roles at the same time. She was in Civil War, and then also Black Mariah and Luke Cage. So, with your character, Inspector Ridley, if there was another Marvel character that you could play, who would it be?
Oh, shoot. shitty shit. I mean, Luke Cage.
I heard that, girl.
Really? Okay.
I heard that.
I would like to know why. Why
you
Luke
look good in
Cage?
yellow too.
I don't, because number one, because I look good in sunflower yellow. Because yellow looks good on the brown skins.
That's
that is true. Facts only.
I agree with him. I really do. I think that what they're saying with Luke Cage is the right thing. This idea of a reluctant hero, of people who end up doing something that they never think that they would ever do, being, as you go through life, being gifted with something that you don't, that you consider to be a burden, but at some point in your life you find out that actually it is a superpower. And this is why I think Luke Cage is so important, because you go through your life accumulating all kinds of experiences and feeling like, they drag me down, or they're burdensome, or they're going to keep me from doing things in my life. And in actuality, they give you enormous superpowers, right? And this is the thing that Luke figures out somewhere in the middle of the season. I can do something with this stuff they have given me, that this life has given me. I thought it was a left turn. Actually, it's a right turn into doing this good thing for the world. And I'm a single mother. So this isn't a life that I probably would have wanted for myself, right? I wouldn't see, 2 children, single mother, living in New York City, and an actress. I certainly deal with my fair share of challenges. My birthday is tomorrow, and one of the things that they don't tell you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. I'm turning 29 again.
You're so you're a fellow Taurus.
I'm an Aries.
Oh no, you're you just made it. You just made it. Yeah.
Just made it in. I just made it. If it was April 19th, I wouldn't have made it. I was supposed to be a Taurus. So, but one of the things they don't tell you when you become a mother, and certainly a single mother, is that you really don't get birthdays anymore, because you sort of have to share, isn't it?
Girl.
Yeah. They don't tell you about parent-teacher conference. They tell you about how cute the babies are, and it's going to poop, but then they don't tell you that you have to sit in front of another human being, and they tell you, well, your daughter is doing great, or your son is doing horrible, or what kind of parent, or that kind of thing is. They don't tell you all that stuff, but you find over time that through the experiences you have, you certainly are challenged initially, but you grow, and they become the biggest gift that you have been given in your life, and they end up inspiring other people to do things as well. So that's why Luke Cage is, I think, the role that I would love to have, because I think I really, there's a lot of fertile ground in me for that, and a lot, and he likes to, have a lot of sex, which is not, I'm just kidding.
No, don't be kidding about that. We don't kid. We don't joke about that.
Let's just say he
judgment.
He gets it
Seriously.
in. He gets it in.
He does.
I wouldn't mind demonstrating that the black women get it in too. We don't mind that.
I am shipping him and Misty. I'm shipping that. Please, season 2. I need to see more of that.
I hope
you know
so
how
too.
I feel. Yeah.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. So yeah, I'm excited to see what season 2 is going to look like.
It's exciting.
I'm excited to see it. I have no idea, but I'm excited to see it. Before y'all sneak in a question,
I was going to ask, are you guys going to be filming soon?
Let me say that I don't know. Well, I don't know.
I know it's being worked on.
All I know is that I've not yet been asked to be in the second season of Luke Cage. I'd love to be in the second season of Luke Cage.
And we would love to see you in the second season of Luke Cage.
Yes.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. But I do have a couple of projects coming up, which I'm very excited about. But I don't know if Luke Cage is one of them yet. So we'll see. But yes, if there is one superhero that I would like to do, another superhero, it would be Luke Cage.
Now, Karen, out of all of the wonderful things...
I bet Cheo tunes...
What about Cheo?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'm sure Cheo listens to this, and I'm sure he'll be interested to hear that.
I will
friend of the show.
I will make sure I tag him on Twitter so he listens to this episode. Give him some ideas.
Yes.
Cheo listens. He really does. He pays a lot of attention to what you guys think. So.
Now, Karen, out of all of the wonderful things that Luke Cage is, what was the best part for you about being a part of this series?
Well, the collaboration, without a doubt. Yeah, meeting Simone and Mike and Alfred and Rosario and Theo and Cheo and all the writers. The DP, it's a community, it's a family over there. I mean, they've worked on 2 or 3 different series at this point. So they have it down. Do you know what I mean? And they're able to flip and change and shift and do what they need to do. Hair, makeup. It's just, there's nothing better than bringing everything you have to a set. And the people who also work there are inspired by what you want to bring, and they bring their best too. And that's true for that set, without a doubt. With the writing, I went in very much like, what can I do? And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, what you think about this? And like, what you think about that? That's the kind of work that I love to do. There's no one character that I would say is my favorite over the body of work that I've done, but I will say that there are certain communities of actors and artists and writers that I enjoy working with more than others, just because we are reaching for the same thing, and that is to tell the best story we can. And I think that's part of the reason why Luke Cage resonated so deeply with people, because it came straight from Cheo's heart, but also that everyone else was invested in telling the best story to inspire the audience. And that sounds like very grandiose and speaking from the macro, but the real work is the day-to-day coming in, doing your work. I mean, everybody was just doing their work, and that's where you really see that whole inspiring story come to life, in the big grandiose thing that is American television, that is Marvel's cinematic universe. That's where you see it come to life, when people start putting their best forward every day. And I love that. I work very hard. I love working hard. And it's a challenge, but I love a challenge. As Maya Angelou says, still I rise. If I can get a Maya Angelou quote in here.
Indeed.
Yes.
Why not? But yeah, no, that's what I would say was the best part about working on Luke Cage. Every day we had a good time because we were all about telling a great story.
And there's such good people that work over there. I had the pleasure of meeting some of the cast and the crew, and there's just so many good people. Like, Simone is so sweet. Theo is adorably sweet. Cheo is everything. Like, they are a really good team of folks. So
yeah, and the crew. I mean, we don't talk a lot about the crew as far, because they're not in front of the camera, but really just top notch. And to talk about diversity and inclusion, I mean, there wasn't a lot of effort that had to be made, because it was a given to walk on the set and see, an African American writer, an African American, director. I mean, it was a given, and I think you can just expect more of that from Cheo, because I know he's all about that.
That's what's up. So you had mentioned that you've got some other projects in the works. So tell our listeners where we can find more about your projects.
Well, I just recently finished an episode of Elementary, which I'm really excited about.
Oh.
And it was directed by Lucy Liu, who I did not know.
Wow.
Was a director. Yeah, I know.
Did not know
she was
that
a director.
either. Wow.
She's fantastic. She's great. And I am doing an episode of Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce with
oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fantastic.
It's funny. It is
funny, and I play Retta's sister in the show. And if any of your listeners follow that show, they'll know what I did. So it's going to be interesting to see how the episode turns out, because there's already sort of a history to what I've done to, Retta's character. And I'm working on a play this summer at Lincoln Center for Dominique Morisseau, fantastic playwright. She's also a writer on the TV show Shameless. And the director is Liliana Blaine Cruz, and it's a play called Pipeline. It's about a woman who's managing her son, her young son, a black mother who's managing her son, and he's wilding out, and she doesn't know what to do about it. And this is not a story we see very often, story about black women as mothers and what we go through. It's a very unique experience, and so I'm very happy to bring it to New York Theater. It'll be in the Mitzi Newhouse Theater there, and again, it's just no other actress could do it but an African American actress. It is unique to our experience, and I have not seen enough of it on stage. So that's going to be a lot of fun for me to do. And I have another project in the works, but I can't tell you about it because it's yet to be announced. But by the time this comes out, it will be announced. So. But tomorrow is my birthday. Mommy, are we going to go to our favorite restaurant? I'm like, well, I'm going to go to.
I am going to sing to you on your birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
I'm going to tag you on Instagram.
Would you?
I will. I'm going to do
love
that.
I'm
going to do that.
Women need to lift. Black women need to lift each other.
Yes,
we do.
Say that again.
Black women need to lift each other because this is not an easy life. That's why I love Tracy Ellis Ross and Ava DuVernay.
Yes. And we're all we've got. You know what I'm saying? We're all we've got. We don't have enough support from other folks to lift us up, so we have to lift each other up.
So busy supporting everybody.
Mm-hmm. We are. It's amazing. I mean, I think you guys, Jamie and Caron, you guys would be surprised at how many people are inspired by what you guys do and what you guys say and how big your voice is in the world, especially with African American women and in the community in general. Do you know? I mean, we struggle to keep ourselves together as a group, as a family. Do you know? And keep us all on the same track. But the voices that we do have out in the world are really, really important. We pay attention to them. So I just want to lift you guys up and encourage you because you inspire me.
Thank you so much. When I think about what this community has meant for me, I've been with Black Girl Nerds for just over a year now, and what this community has done for me and meant to my life. I mean, I am rarely at a loss for words, but that is one subject you might choke me up. It's just so much. There's just so much because there's so few places we have where we're not just welcome, but we're valued and we're listened to. We have a place to listen and a place to speak and a place to be heard and to be loved for who we are, where we are at that time, with no other demands on us except to be who we are right now. And that just, it blessed my entire life in so many ways.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there just aren't enough places where we can be, there are so many stereotypes. So, and there's some truth in these types, right? Of who we are. We are stoic. We are strong. We are angry. We are, the angry black woman, the strong.
I got reason to be angry.
Of course, right. I mean, there is truth in all of that, but there are so many different versions of who we are. The truth of the matter is that we are all spirits walking around this world. We are covered with this skin, this gorgeous brown skin, and it doesn't mean that that's all who we are. That just means that this is the garment that we've been given to wear in this world, right? Yeah. And underneath that, we can be anything. We are anything we want to be. We are a black girl nerd. We are an angry black woman. We are a, whatever we want to be. And we need to have more room to be self-expressive, truthful to who we are. And this forum, this community really provides that. It says you don't have to be this to be black. You don't have to be this you don't have to fall in that to do this. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important, very important. I love that my daughter asked me before I got on the phone with you, who are you talking to, Mom? I said, I'm going to talk to the Black Girl Nerd. She said, Black Girl Nerds, what's that? And I said, let me tell you what that is. Okay, let me tell you, because my daughter is a Black Girl Nerd.
Oh,
she really is. She walks to the beat of her own drum.
I love
she
it.
really does. And there are so many of us that have to be given room to do that. And
that's a
this community
testament to you
professor.
as a mom, because it is so hard not to overimpose our own influence or allow them too much room so that the outside influence can get to them, but to give them enough room to be confident in who they are, to know.
Yeah.
That's a testament to you as a mom. So great job, mommy.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, that's part of how my mother was with me, and my mom and my dad were with me. I mean, they were, my mother grew up the daughter of a sharecropper, Pitt Cotton. She's recently deceased in November. She died on Election Day.
Ooh.
And my brother joked she wanted to get out of here because she heard about Donald Trump. She heard Donald Trump. She's like, let me out.
I'm out this piece.
Let me get it out. Like Hillary was, but she, and my father was the son of a longshoreman who died when he was 13, 14 years old. So it was that they lived a very difficult life, but they had great ambition, and they were just, they were kind of misfits in their own way. They left Mississippi early in the 70s to create their life in Tennessee and live through Jim Crow. We are a striving community, and I think it's important that we are as inclusive in our community as we want our world to look, right? So I grew up with parents who very much felt that was important for us to be who we are. So I'm so glad for you guys. I really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ooh, about to come to some tears here.
Yeah, she can come to the round table anytime.
I'm happy to come to the round table.
We would love you to come. Yeah, we talk about all kinds of things. So, okay. I will reach out to you on our next roundtable.
I'm so happy to do it. All right, ladies.
All right. Enjoy your birthday tomorrow.
Night. I will. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
The Black Girl Nerds podcast is produced by Jamie Broadnax. Various episodes are edited by Jamie Broadnax, M.R. Daniel, and John Bauer. The opening theme song to our show is written and performed by Samus. Various instrumentals are performed by Samus, Sky Blue, and Shubzilla. You can find episodes of the Black Girl Nerds podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and Spotify.
That was a HeadGum podcast.